Okay, so I was gonna make this video to give you my thoughts on the AWE center muffler delete crossover pipes, which I just installed. Overall, the product is a high quality product, so I'm pretty happy with AWE. I'm happy with their customer service, their packaging. You just tell like their packaging is high quality. It's like a professional company. And I say that because in comparison to FabSpeed, FabSpeed I'm sure is a good product, the actual product, but some of their engineering I don't think is that great. Kind of fit and finish. If you watch my other video on the carbon cold air intake, there's some fitment issues, but nonetheless, how it was packaged and the packaging material, it wasn't like high quality. There was like odd different packaging material, like remnants from some other stuff, and it just overall it wasn't like a great experience opening the box. But AWE, it's like a high quality box, oversized, over engineered box, you know, thick cardboard, packaging material is all consistent, the same, like brand new packaging material. Not that that matters, but it does make a difference in terms of your experience in opening the product up. The fitment was spot on. So there was difficulty in installing the product, but that had more to do with like my car in particular. So my car, this car was bought from the East Coast, Long Island, and there was quite a bit of rust on the flange bolts going from the header to the center muffler interface. And so I knew going in that there was a high likelihood that the studs would break, and that's exactly what happened. Initially, you know, I sprayed some penetrating oil, whatever. That stuff never seemed to work. But anyways, I sprayed some of that. I didn't let it soak overnight or anything like that, just let it soak a little bit. Then I gingerly cracked it, and it immediately broke the stud. On the second one, I tried to apply some heat, and it broke the stud again. It just broke the stud that much easier because there's heat. So I knew that going in. I had a plan basically to remount where the studs are welded in. So I don't know if it was Porsche or whatever, but basically there's a bolt with like a flat head on it, and that gets pressed in to the flange hole, and then it gets tack welded to that flange. And so I originally thought of just drilling it out with like a high carbon drill bit, which is what I did initially. And then once I did that, I was able to kind of like investigate the bolt or the stud and kind of determine what it was made of, or how it was pressed in. So once I realized it was pressed in and how it was kind of installed, I was able to kind of figure out a way to pop it out. So that process was, you know, relatively easier than drilling it out, but I ended up having to drill out 3 of the holes because it wasn't that easy to press out. So I had to kind of like MacGyver a way to press it out. The back side, the part that's tacked on, you have to like angle grind it off, which is, you know, somewhat difficult. So that whole process was difficult. It's not something that I think an average, you know, home mechanic that does oil changes and stuff like that will want to do. But it's something that I knew going in that I might have to do, and I was prepared to do that. So once I did that, it was fine. The install was, you know, overall good. Now, whether that's worth it for someone who doesn't, whether the product is worth it to go through that hassle just to get, you know, maybe arguably five horsepower gain and the better sound, I'm not sure. But for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, I was fine with that level of whatever modification or, you know, figuring it out to make it work. So I have all the tools and all that other stuff. So for me, it was fine, and for me, it's worth it. The product was $800 something. It's like relatively cheap compared to the carbon air intake. It looks really cool, and it's like, not that you really look at it, but just conceptually looking at it and understanding that you're moving the center muffler, you know, all that. So that's like, from my, you know, engineering perspective, it's like a good kind of solution. I like it. Now the sound, I'm actually kind of happy with the sound, because I thought it was going to be really obnoxious and really loud, but it's not. It's just like a bump up in terms of sound. I want to say it's a little bit deeper, but it's louder like when you get really on it. And I'm still warming up the car, so once I have it fully warmed up, I'll go ahead and go all out. But the install process, all the supplied materials, hardware, everything was squared away. So I really liked that experience, even though it was quite a bit of work. It probably took me, I don't know, the number of hours, I have no idea, but it was a lot of hours over the course of 3 days. But again, I think it's worth it. If you have a car that doesn't have a lot of rust in that area, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's so simple that it would be like a pleasure to work on. Bolt up. There's nothing you have to change in terms of the air fuel mixture or anything like that. So, what's interesting is, like, you know, initially when I bought this car, I want to keep it stock, but that is not the case. I've modified this thing quite a bit, and I kind of feel like I had to, in my defense. Like, I felt like everything I've done, I kind of felt like the car needed for what I wanted the car to be for me. It's a weird way of saying it, but for me, I wanted it to be a certain thing, a certain experience. And when it didn't meet that expectation, like, it grossly failed at that expectation, in my opinion. That just took me down a path of modifications. You know, I want to say they're smart modifications. They're not financially smart modifications, but they are, I think, whatever, chosen wisely, you know? So, yeah, so overall, I keep on saying this after each modification, like, I'm done. This is exactly what I want the car to be like. This last one I kind of did, I wasn't planning on doing it because I knew it was going to be difficult, like working with those studs, those rusted out bolts and whatnot. But one of the customer reps from AWE reached out to me and kind of asked me if I was still interested in a quote that I had. There's a spider inside this car. And I was kind of like, you know, I'm not really super interested in it, but just kind of remind me how, you know, your little advertising pitch on it. And he was talking about how, like, they had researched like an X-pipe version. It sounded better, but the performance wasn't there, so they chose to do the crossover. And I thought that was a pretty good response. Like, he was admittedly saying that the sound wasn't as good, but then for the performance, which is their primary goal, it was better. So kind of like that aspect, I guess. And anyways, no pressure, and he was just kind of like giving me information. So I like that. So I was like, why not? It just execute. and then did the install and everything like that. So, but now I'm done.